You're listening to The Kylo Show, the podcast where we talk about how to keep your love on no matter what and why whole healthy families are going to save the world. And it starts right now.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to The Kylo Show. Thanks so much for joining us. And you may have noticed, but we have someone with us today.
Well, if you're listening, you didn't notice yet.
No, this is true. I always
Still a
just assume
secret.
everyone's watching. You should watch.
You should watch.
But that voice that you just heard before is my husband, Ben.
The man you've talked about many times on here.
Yes.
Many
I've heard my
times.
name, Ben, many times. So
That's true.
I'm here to plead my case this time.
Yeah. Represent Ben. Come on.
There's no case to plead. It's great to be here.
He's
The
here to-
rest of the
Honored.
story.
Yeah.
Yes, all of that. So we've given him an opportunity to come and share. Well, I've given
Present
him
his
permission.
case.
I'm like,
Yes.
we've invited him because we've got some fun things around marriage, and so we thought you should come so people can hear your take
It's true.
on all the party.
we have very different, you and I.
Just a little bit.
It's taken a few years to figure that out. But yeah.
But I'm glad we're different.
me too.
So we're just really kind of excited to share, I guess, differences. That's really what we're kind of diving into a bit with this and marriage and
It's the thing that nobody thinks is going to happen to them or something. I'm not sure.
or that they're going to be fine without ever having to put some work in.
It feels like the biggest red flag that people just don't look at.
Yeah.
Sure.
We are so different.
Yep. And
It's true.
that's the truth of it.
Like, yeah, it's like, I wonder how much anxiety we can endure. Well, let's get married, and it right away. I mean, some people are similar in a lot of ways, and so the anxiety comes from the enormous consequence that is created from having uber strengths in one direction and uber weaknesses in the other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of us are attracted to some kind of balance.
It's
Or
true.
like there would be
We crave it.
yeah, like wow, I really admire all the stuff you're so good at and that you do just naturally. Like you just enter a room and you just start talking and you make friends right away and you just do this thing. And then eventually it's like, could you stop doing that?
That's annoying me.
The thing I fell in love with.
Yeah. Could you stop just being the center of attention all the time and inviting people over to our house in the middle of the whatever? And now I know why I don't do like that thing that you do so well. And I think that it causes growth and it
Yeah.
causes tension. And we got to get good at this stuff.
I was actually thinking last night, just preparing for this and thinking through marriage and what I've learned, and which is a long list. But I was thinking about, we had couples around us that had worked on marriage really well and had built this beautiful thing that we were following and wanted to build our life off of. And then we get married and we start. We're like, well, why didn't we feel that yet? Why isn't that happening?
When does the happy part?
It requires some work, which is the part it feels like you have to kind of run into. Like there's work required. So
Mhm.
Very much so.
learning all the time.
Yeah, I do. I remember the seasons when we were first married. I think of Gabe and Leah Valenzuela.
Yeah.
We were always around them, and they just seemed to enjoy each other
hmm
more than what I felt like was happening between the two of us.
hmm
And we watched them have their first baby, and we had our second when they had, or our first when they had their 2nd. And having somebody that was, doing it well and growing gave us hope for all this.
We'll get there.
So-
They're young.
and they're not that far out of us, but they're figuring it out. That was really it was a great relationship for us, I think, in the
Yeah.
beginning. To
And that's an example of two people that are pretty close in energy
Mhm.
and
approach style.
adaptation.
Yeah.
They're both
Mhm.
very adaptive people, and they're just kind of chill and
So really, they were false advertising for what we were. That's what's coming out.
Well,
right now.
the main thing is you got hope. Okay, let's
That's
go
true.
with that.
We
We
discovered
did get
that
help.
there's
Let's go with the
Yeah.
hope. It's it becomes a battle of who's right, whose
Mhm.
life and character and personality and needs, which one of us is right? Because one of us is right and the other one is evil. You're like, oh gosh, we need to change that about you because you need to be more like me. So the discipling begins here.
Poor
And
We're diving
Ben.
in.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
and then we go to war, right? And essentially we're just trying to endure each other. And I think a key is that as soon as we realize there's two of us in this marriage, two valuable, powerful people, then we can talk about becoming one. Because otherwise we say, when the two shall become one. And then we fight for 25 years over which one. Which one are we going to become? This is our ongoing challenge is I got to change these things about you.
Mhm.
I was just doing a conference this week and I do this often. I say, okay, how many people have been married at least 25 years? People raise like, we cheer, way to go.
Mhm.
I say, that's about how long it takes before we finally give up all hope of ever controlling this other person. Like your 25th wedding anniversary, you just roll over, you look at them and you say, you're never going to change, are you? You're going to be like this for the rest of our life together. Well, I guess we better figure out what we're going to do. And it's super true. And the faster you realize that, you don't have to wait till you've been married for 25 years.
Okay, because we're almost there, Brittany.
You're right. I know you're almost there.
Close.
But the
Close.
sooner you
Yeah.
allow the other person to be them in your presence, is the sooner you get to that happy place.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, and this was the big thing for me. I think it happened multiple times. I feel like I was incrementally learning this lesson. Probably year 1, I was like, huh, and then year 5, and maybe year 10, and it's still going. But I just remember some of the big moments for me when I started to realize I was living this. Brittany's needs matter more than mine,
Mm-hmm.
or she seems more important, or she's louder, or she's showing up more, so I must be less important.
Mm-hmm.
And then we agreed together, so we played it out.
I mean, I totally agree. Why wouldn't I
Yeah.
agree? Thank you for saying that. It just validates everything that I've been thinking is true.
Yeah, and you're more adaptive
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you're more of an arranger.
Mhm.
Like you walk into a room and
Yeah.
that chair's crooked and you sit in it. You walk in the room and she wonders
didn't see
why it's
that?
blue and why it's here, and she moves it to the other side of the room and scoots the couch over. You're
No
like,
way.
yeah,
Been watching for a while.
yeah. And so it is and these two people meet each other,
Yep.
and
Over and over again.
and they both have to grow and adjust to, all right, how do I adapt to you,
Mhm.
and how do I arrange her?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
it's muscles that you don't naturally think about developing until you get in this situation where you're again and again and again and again faced with, ouch, this isn't working.
Mhm. We were talking about this morning of, I mean, I was introduced to DISC, and so was he early on in our maybe dating relationship. I think we probably took it then. It's been in our family for a long time, DISC. So, but
And DISC is a tool
yeah,
to basically measure this stuff that we're talking
Mhm.
about. The D stands for dominance, the I stands for influencer, the S is steadfast, and the C is conscientious. And they're all basically just measuring predictive behaviors.
Mhm.
Like, you are predictable.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, I'm a unicorn. I am unknowable. I am a leprechaun. Like, you're not. Actually, you're super predictable.
Sure.
And learn that about yourself, but then also take the time to learn others. So
Yeah.
I just want to explain that.
That's good. But we did that one first, and I do feel like the loudest one in the beginning of our marriage was the flipping
Mhm,
assessment.
mhm, mhm.
So we looked at that a ton, and it's still a bit. I mean that one I go back to, when I'm studying myself in depth. I feel like if I've progressed over the years, but DISC is an easy reference point to teach to
It's got
address.
4 things.
Yeah,
It's like winter, spring, summer, fall,
uh-huh.
north, south,
It is.
east, west.
It
We
is
can
an easy
usually hang
place
on to 4 things.
totally. So I feel like we were trying to learn ourselves through flipping. It's a bit more, you know,
Constraints.
yeah, just kind of dials you in a bit deeper. And but we were really nailed it down to when you were teaching. I think it was GTI. Is that what at Bethel when we all did that, and we dove into the disc in a way that we hadn't before because we had to start teaching it. And so when you introduced that level of the disc to us, I think it really then required a different understanding of it rather than, oh, you're just dominant, or you're just, you know, you want to always be the center of attention, or it was this newfound knowledge of, oh, I'm really studying this because I have to teach it. That was the weight that came with it that required us to really dive in a bit more. And we were trying to figure out how old Lincoln was, like if he was a baby or when, as far as how long we've been married. You could gauge our marriage by how many children we had.
How many? Yeah.
But I think that was, we had turned a corner with Addie in our marriage, but that came more in communication, I think, and then this just gave us more and more understanding of my dominant personality, my arranger, as you put it. It's funny now. It wasn't funny so much then. It was scary. I'm sure that was the reality of our early years of marriage. Was I was arranging everything.
Yeah.
And Ben was afraid of me all the time.
I had a pretty big fear of rejection button that was sitting in there often. So I would just try and avoid a lot of things for self-protection. Like if I don't jump in there, maybe I won't get hurt.
Yeah. I'll just be a really small target.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll just be
I'm
like
really
a fly.
good at shooting.
I'll be like a fly. Oh, she's got a fly swatter. Oh no.
Just thinking about the, you know, we got married, had our 1-year anniversary, then I found out I was pregnant. So we didn't have a whole lot of in between just us time and then having a child. So I think when Lainey showed up, my need to arrange and control and feel secure and safe just, you know, increased. And it was tough. I have to save this child's life by being in control of all things.
Yeah.
Sure, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So,
let me protect you from your other parent.
yeah.
Totally.
You know, and let me stay out of the way of the other parent.
Mm-hmm.
And all those dynamics begins to just jack up the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And this mountain of unmet needs begins to build in the relationship because we really didn't understand that we were on assignment to discover each other's needs and then do what we could to contribute to those needs getting met. Because, you know, a lot of times there's things that happen that I can't do anything about it. Like I can't do anything about your fear of rejection, except be aware of it, that it's a hot plate, you know.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about your need to be in control of things when you get scared, except to say, hey,
I'm on your team.
It's happening.
hey, I don't know if you smell that. That's you. Okay. You know, you have to be able to be courageous enough to step in and show up so that there are two people that are respectable. And by respectable, I mean, I see you, I see what you need, and you require that I adjust so that certain needs of yours will be met in this relationship.
And that took me a while.
Yeah.
That courage thing. And we can laugh now, but I wasn't laughing then.
Yeah.
But it feels like a common conversation I have with men, especially.
Mm-hmm.
It's men and women. I think we all have our different courage buttons we have to strengthen, but it feels like such a common conversation I'm having these days with people is I got to figure out how to show up with this person who's so different than me, and I'm so scared around.
Yeah. Yeah, and courage looks different because for the person that is used to arranging everything, you know, the D's and the I's, courage is a different vulnerability. And the S's and the C's are so adaptive.
Yeah.
They think that accommodation, give them what they want, help them get what they want, serve is the solution until what's required is show up, make a demand,
Yep.
Communicate your need. So you're trying to get the S's and C's to show up, and you're trying to get the D's and the I's to shut up.
It's true.
Because they think if I don't, tell everybody what's going on, or have a really great idea what we could do, or demand and get upset if it doesn't go my way, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna, I'm gonna be taken advantage of. So vulnerability shows up when I'm not trying to arrange the environment, and for the S's and C's, it's vulnerability shows up when I'm a visible target.
I always think about, I've shared this before, but you're on here, so everyone might want to hear your viewpoint on this.
It's my moment.
One of the clearest moments, I remember your courage showing up. Do you remember? You know what I'm talking about?
I would like to say there was many. So
Okay.
let's wait to see what you say.
I said one of the first.
Which one?
One of the
Which
first
one?
one. One of the
So many,
one of the
Brittany.
first ones, but we'll go to that.
We talked about this recently, I think. It was in the car. Okay, keep going.
So we're in the car headed to my parents' house, and it's only like a 7-minute drive, if that. And I don't remember what we were upset about, or I was upset about.
Okay,
I
we
should say.
I was hiding it. You couldn't tell. I was upset.
I was upset about something, talking to you about it, and not being very respectful. And I'm just relentless in my persistence to agree with me that you're a jerk, probably.
Hear my heart.
I don't even know if that was in there. It's just, you want to know what I think?
Yeah.
Here it is. And you said, I would love to have this conversation when your voice sounds like mine, which I know from my upbringing.
Childhood.
And exactly what that meant. And I remember just becoming so angry, even thinking about opening this car door and getting out of a moving vehicle
Mid-driving.
to make my point of acting like a child. I couldn't believe you did that. So I didn't meet you with restraint on my part. I didn't meet you with maturity. I met you with, did you really just say that? More hostility and anger?
Yeah.
And then you gave me the one-liner after that, which just made me more angry because I couldn't believe that my father was coming out of your mouth. That's the truth.
I probably talked to him. What do I do with your daughter?
Yeah. Here, Ben.
But it stands out for me because you'd never required me to talk differently to you up until that point. And I would say when we were dating, I don't know that was probably going on much. I'm sure that there was arranging, but when you're dating, you're testing the waters. You behave yourself a bit differently.
Oh, it's a fragile connection. You're doing
Yeah.
everything to protect this fragile connection. Then once you get married,
And you get all that you want.
now you got to heal that fragile connection and strengthen that bad boy.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to figure that out, but that's what I remember. So I don't know if you remember your side of the car.
Well, I think those moments for me, probably even still, there's some of this. It's lessened dramatically, but in those moments, I'm so accustomed to giving into the fear, and so when I work against it, I'm working through the anxiety, and there's a saying lately I keep hearing, but it's do it afraid. I think that's how I got to that moment. Is I'm still afraid that all the stuff that usually stops me is still there. But I'm still going to try and do it. Let's see what happens here. And, your reaction, I may have tried other times before that. Your reaction shut me down again. But I think Danny said it numerous times. What you just said is that we train people how to treat us. I'm teaching you how to treat me. And so I had taught you how to treat me up to that point. And so there's some new training, which is a weird way to say that, like I'm training you, but
I
I'm
got treats for
I'm
behavior.
teaching you different word for that, but I'm teaching you what I need and what feels respectful to me.
Yeah.
Because you're either unaware or will keep doing it if I don't require something different. And it was I think I just realized up to that point, and I'm sure it was conversations with Danny and different people in my life, that if I want this to change, I have to change.
Mhm.
And so, yes, I was scared. I was concerned. I was full of anxiety. And I'm so glad that I did that.
Me too.
Just for our connection we have today,
Mhm.
I think has a lot to do with us navigating those waters well.
Yeah, and continuing to navigate them. I mean, my high D arrange yourself hasn't gone away,
No.
and your adaptive self hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
We have more kids and more responsibilities and more things telling us, the world's crazy. So
Yeah.
all of the bad behavior, decisions, poor management of yourself is available to both of us all the
Totally.
time.
It is interesting, that when you decide to show up one day, like, I'll be glad to talk to you as soon as you are as respectful as I am. That self-control piece there, that this is how you never argue with a child ever again. Well, this is also how you never argue with a wife ever again. Is I'll manage me,
Yeah.
and I won't blame you for me shutting down, and I won't blame you for me screaming at you.
Yep.
I will manage myself to protect the connection. This is the Kylo 5 in operation right here. Like, okay, I'm going to be powerful. I'm going to win love over fear. I'm going to keep connection my goal. I'm going to use respectful communication, and I'm going to honor healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
This is it in a statement. I'll be happy to talk to you. I'll be happy to finish this conversation as soon as your voice is as respectful as mine.
Mhm.
And that sets the plate. Now, somebody flips the plate over, or somebody, takes a swing. You're like, okay, what happens next?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because people do not like to have to change because they feel vulnerable. They don't know what to do. I do what I do because I'm good at what I do. I'm used to what I do. I've been successful up until now doing what I do. So as soon as you require change, I don't know what I'm doing. And I hate that feeling. And so I feel controlled is how I'll communicate. I feel like you're trying to control me right now. Like, nope, I didn't say anything about you. You missed that part.
Yep.
I just said something about me. And I think the reaction to having to change something about myself. I know this is true. I know I should be changing this. I know I'm doing this wrong.
Mhm.
But I don't want to be called out by you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to feel stupid right now. And I don't want to feel like a wussy right now, whichever way this is going.
Yep.
And this is, we've not been given a spirit of timidity, some versions say. We've not been given a spirit of fear, but intimidation, my reaction, either I shut down and I become this cannonball that you can't open, which intimidates the people that need closure.
Mhm.
I need to resolve this. Please stay with me here. I need to keep talking. We've got to resolve this. Unpeel this cannonball, and maybe there's a goodie inside for you. Or the rah! I'm Jafar. How dare you challenge the powers of Jafar? Whichever direction you go here, you are trying to make the other person timid with that fear. Intimidation is to try to get you to stop demanding change.
Mm.
But we've not been given that spirit. We've been given a spirit of love, power, and self-control.
Yep.
And so if you just stay active in love, being powerful, and controlling yourself, you can actually defy all those intimidating gyrations that your toddler's going through. Your toddler's trying to get you to change the rules that you're requiring of them by flipping out, pooping themselves, and screaming. You're like, okay, that intimidation will not dominate
Mhm.
this moment, and you will be required to be fun.
Yep.
Or you can hang out in your room.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that I find myself saying, just when I think about the contrast between those two seasons,
Mhm.
is that I was, and you can talk for yourself, but
Thanks.
I was, I'll talk for me, like Danny just said, but I was protecting myself so much. And I think when I flipped the switch and I showed up with a different courage and a different approach, I was now protecting us and I was
Mhm.
protecting her.
Mhm.
It was such a different experience.
Mhm.
And that's my goal as a husband, as I want to protect her. But I was so busy protecting myself, I couldn't
Mhm.
do both.
And you're so motivated by connection
Yep.
that you don't realize that shrinking away breaks the connection.
Yep. Exactly.
And living in fear keeps you away from the connection.
Yeah.
So as soon as you step into your fear, what do you call it? Feel the fear and do it anyway, or
Oh, do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
do it afraid. Doing it afraid. You know, I'm doing this afraid, man. I'm afraid the whole time. But the joy set before you is connection,
That's
right?
right.
You know, so you're going to endure the cross to get to the connection.
Exactly.
We have now probably more of a DC
Mm-hmm.
running. I still have a high I as well. My S is always doesn't register, guys.
Oh, you married your S.
But I married an S, so we're covered.
I brought it with us.
Yes. But more now than ever, the D and the C. So my needs of control and to be correct.
Win and be right.
Win and be right. Man, that's a 1-2 punch right
Have fun
there.
and stay connected.
Go right ahead and try and tell me that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Even if
free.
I'm not right, I will try and convince you
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say I was.
We don't like that word.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
I'm gonna throw up even trying to say it.
Fonzie, the Fonz. You missed all that, but
We know who he is.
my
Happy days.
generation.
We don't know his name. We just
Yes.
call him, hey, Fonzie's on.
The Fonz.
But Ben has consistently brought the SIIS.
Mhm.
So the fear of rejection would be the I, and disconnect is the S.
Yep.
So I think what's funny is looking at our kids, just they're such a mixture. We don't really have any high D's in our house other than me.
And mom.
Me and mom and
Mhm.
Winston outside.
Mm-hmm.
The
Those are
dog.
the dog.
The farm dog.
Yeah.
That's a
The
good name.
Marima.
The one that's the defender. But that's, everyone else in our house are probably an S, I, a little bit of C. Addie's a little bit more C, I think.
I'm coming out an ID these days.
Are you? Okay. Well,
mhm.
that's new. And you're finally almost 60.
I know.
Your D's
I know.
showing up.
I've had enough.
Enough of this. I'm so old. I get to say exactly what I think. Is that what's happening now? Your S has said, you know what? Go right ahead. Take a vacation.
I've all adapted up.
You're done.
I'm all done
I'm
adapting for you
done.
people.
Maybe that's what will happen to you, Ben. You'll hit 16. You'll be ID. But it's just funny to see. I mean, when Lainey was little, I was convinced she was going to show up a D.
Mhm.
She definitely had this, I'm going to challenge all things. And I don't know if it was first child, my,
Could be her name.
yes, defendant of the one who challenges. That's
Yeah.
what we named her.
Offspring of the challenger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was the other part that you had to figure out too,
Oh
was
my
it
gosh.
wasn't just me, but it was
It's coming at me from both sides.
Delaney brought a level of, are you sure you're ready to be a parent? Which was another,
Daddy, will you fight for me?
that's shown up in different ways later on. I'm so glad that you were able to kind of tackle and address when she was younger, because it helped you stay engaged and present for what I needed from you with being a parent. And but it's funny when you look at your kids. I know a lot of families that have high SCs that end up with the DI, and they don't know what to do with that.
Right.
And that can disrupt the marriage as well, because
The home.
we don't know what to do with this
Yeah.
big presence in our home compared to our more adjusting personalities. But that's been, I think, knowing DISC, because it's more simple, and really not just getting the knowledge, but then turning to study it and the benefit it's had in our marriage. I think being nearly 19 years in, it's, we walk away from dinner with a couple we've never known before. I'm like, what do you think they are? What do you think? How do you think they fall? And okay, yeah. Well, I could feel I had a tinge of C coming out in that moment. So it's just a fun language for us to even look at, relationships that we might be entering in, but we have a shared understanding of people that just feels it's helped us connect. It's helped us understand each other. It's really been worth the investment. And I'm thankful that we both had a value to grow, because I don't know that this would be received well in a disconnected marriage with two people that aren't ready to grow.
And we stayed back there.
Yeah. I think that's a requirement for this, is to be willing to grow.
I was thinking as well, just the, our protection of needs in our marriage. That wasn't always the case. And I had to get there of wanting to have a need, first of all. But as I've grown in this, and we're both grown together in protecting the priority of needs, I think you bring something like DISC out, and that's what I start seeing. It's just a different way of seeing needs that we both have that I'm paying attention to. There's certain things Brittany needs to feel safe and protected and loved and cared for, and same with me. So it's just a different thing to look at. That there's a set of needs that are so important that I'm working to meet.
I think about your birthday, that you just had, and your IS, you want some fun and some connection, and you didn't know what you wanted, didn't really know what to do. And on my birthday, why don't we reorganize the entire house and create order and structure? And this is, I think, for Mom, we did a work day for her birthday one year.
It was acts of service
As well.
birthday, and people flew in from all over the country
Yeah.
to work on our farm, dig holes and ditches and cut
That's
branches
awesome.
and organize cupboards and
And
junk drawers.
it's her DC. I want my space to feel a certain way, and that Accessor shows up that way. So thinking about the things you love, the things that help you feel like there's adventure, and then feeling connected. So trying to accommodate all those things versus how I see what I would want to experience on my birthday. It's such good information to be successful at saying, I love you, I care about you, and I want to protect this relationship.
If the goal is connection, then this has everything to do with lowering anxiety, because unmet needs are the spike of fear. Like, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be okay. I'm afraid that I'm going to lose. I'm going to be, insignificant. I'm going to be unappreciated. I'm feeling this horrible feeling. But if I don't know that about myself, like if I don't know that I actually am willing to sacrifice pretty far and pretty hard, I just need to feel appreciated. And I don't want to have to bring it up, because then it feels fabricated. I just want you to say thank you. I just want to feel acknowledged. I don't need to be worshipped. I don't need a parade. I'd actually hate one. But if you just acknowledge that you saw me sacrifice, that you saw me give, that you saw me adjust, that's all I need. Versus, I do want a parade. I want a flyover with the Air Force. I would like confetti dropped in the right spot, the sparkly stuff with the foil. I want that, and I would like a trophy. if you could give me a trophy for my sacrifice, that would mean with my name written on it and the place that I got, or whatever. We're so different,
Mm-hmm.
and none of that is evil.
Yeah.
All of it is built into our design to work together as a body. Like, the liver could say to the eyeballs, "Oh, you center of attention. All you care about is being seen and seeing first. And control freak, and nobody even knows I'm here. I think I'll just shut things down. How about that? We'll find out a little appreciation around here. The place that we serve in the body is varied, and some places really recognized and celebrated, and if we're not paying attention, some things, really important things, get absolutely ignored, underappreciated, because we're not Kylo 5 in it.
Yep.
Sure. Which, kind of brings up this great point that I want to make sure we talk about a little bit is we have something really fun coming up that we're doing all together. We haven't ever done this before. We haven't done it. We did a young marriage workshop, which was like a flash in the pan. It was
2 hours.
It was so fast.
20 minutes each, right?
Yeah, it was 20 minutes each. That's all we had. And we basically said, good luck as they left after 2 hours. But we're going to have the 4 of us in San Diego doing a Kylo Marriage Workshop, which means that we're all going to be on display in our strengths, bringing something that we're passionate about. And it's, what's fun is it really is this generational thing that you and Mom have plowed the way for us and set a standard and gave us tools. And now Ben and I we've picked that up and we're running with it and we're adding to it and adjusting and growing and learning. And then we come back to you and go, it's not working. I don't know that we've had like a marriage talk with you guys. Like we were that struggling in a really long time. It's been more parenting that we probably bring to you guys more.
We had lots of those early on.
Oh, for sure. So I couldn't even tell you how many.
You guys are like almost 2 decades in on this,
We
right?
are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Yeah. So you got some serious momentum.
Yeah.
And you've been helping other people, so you get to see other people's mistakes. You're like, oh gosh, let's not do that one. Yeah, that's I think an accelerant on growing and developing is helping other people.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, it's fun to think about that, to be able to do a marriage workshop with, my parents, and that you've been married for as old as Ben. So
We're the same age.
I know. Ben and my marriage are the same age.
Born in the same year, guys.
People are like, what?
But 38 years, and, we're 18 and a half, so.
Someone right now is doing the math. So
Yeah.
were they 14, 15 years old when they got married?
Yeah.
No.
We're 18 and 19.
Yeah.
12.
But I mean, Ben, what were the topics you're trying to bring to the workshop?
Yeah, the first one that I'll definitely be leaning in on, because it's been one of the most transformational. When I described this to people, I said, this was the moment my life changed forever. It was a conversation with the 4 of us in the living room when we were dating.
Yeah.
And Danny looked at me after lots of frustration and us saying, I think we're done. I think we're done
Yes,
dating.
we're going to break up now.
And he looked at me and Danny said, Ben, what do you need? And I said, can we have a different question, please? And, but they all didn't talk. They just waited for me to go look for something. And what that moment produced has just changed my world. And so I think I want to find a way to give, I found a way to do it, but I want to give that away, especially to married people, because it's just this consistent journey we're on of doing a good job communicating what I need and doing a really good job meeting your needs. And I think the way they like to say it is 2 people laying their life down is a healthy marriage. Because it says in the Bible that the man's meant to lay his life down the way Christ did for the church, which I think is true. I think there's also a spot for the woman to do the same thing, to lay a life down and meet meet the needs in both directions. So it's not a one-way street. There's two streets, a two-way street happening
There you
here.
go.
So needs is a big thing for me. So that's
I
the
think
first
that
thing I'll be
verse you're
talking
looking
about.
for is wives submit to your husbands.
Mm.
That's the one that
Mm.
That's in that too.
I think that's what that our laying our life down looks like. But it's hard to do that when you don't really believe that your husband loves you like Christ does.
Right.
So you typically are saving yourself.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's the exchange that normally.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't expect the children to raise the parents
No.
any more than you would expect the wife to lead the husband in love.
So, again, I'm excited about the Kylo Marriage Workshop that we're all going to do together. It's a day and a half, so we won't leave you hanging. It's going to be like solid amount of time. It's not a quick frying pan experience. We're trying to walk with you a little bit, you
Mhm.
know, and really just put all of our different strengths out on the table and welcome anyone that's in the area of San Diego. We do have, I
People
saw a
flying
few
in.
people coming in from Florida. So if you want to beat
Texas.
Florida,
What's the date on
That's
this?
exciting.
this is May 20th and 21st.
Mhm.
And you can go to the KyloMarriageWorkshop.com to register and get more information. It's on our socials as well. But all 4 of us are going to be there. It's going to be lots of fun. So I think that's a great way to end today's podcast is if you want to increase hope in your marriage and increase understanding in this other person that you're married to and really just increase the level of connection in your marriage, that probably be an excellent thing to look into. So make sure you check that out. And thanks so much for joining us today on the Kylo Show.
Thanks for listening. Never miss an episode of The Kylo Show by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch us on the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel. Don't forget to submit your questions and testimonies to thekyloshow.com. The Kylo Show is produced by Ali Armerding, co-produced by Ashley Beck and Anna Hill, sound engineered and edited by Taylor Silk, and show promoter Christian Zamora. Don't forget, whole healthy families gonna save the world.